Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I am Leah Dunlap, and this is Oracle Live TV. I'm so excited for our guests that are coming up tonight. We have a wonderful list of guests, so I'm really excited to share their amazing gifts and talents with you, and also find out what kind of wonderful, juicy stuff the Oracle has coming up for them. But what I always like to let everybody know when we come here to this show is we never know when the Oracle's speaking to you. So make sure you stay in the room, stay tuned. And definitely, if you're just coming on right now and you're in a watch party, so like somebody has shared this link with you and you're following us in a watch party, click on the link that's right underneath the first comment or the first comment, and it will bring you inside the room. And the reason you want to be in the room is extra special tonight. One, it's the only way that we can actually see your questions. And the great news is that we try to do our best to leave as much time as possible at the end of the show so we can do a little Q&A with the Oracle, which means you could ask a question directly of the Oracle as well. Only way to do that is to be in the room. So make sure if you're watching this on a watch party that you definitely click on that link and come on in. I can see we've got some new viewers already. Thanks so much for being here. I love seeing new faces. So if you're here and you just joined us, why don't you tell us where you're coming in from? So that'd be great. Yeah. So put in the comments if you've come to watch us live. Thank you. Where you're watching us from, what part of the area of the world you are from. And also, again, if you're watching the replay, just a note, because we've had this happen. If you're watching the replay and you put a comment or a question, please know that the questions will be answered only live. So you have to be here live to get your questions answered. With that, I want to do a quick announcement. So I like to say that having the Oracle on my shoulder is really helpful in my life and my business. And sometimes even I forget to listen. All right. So last time we ran a little bit of a first time ever giveaway, which was really exciting. And I explained to people, if you were watching before, that what I love is journals. I love to get journals. And so I bought a bunch of journals and I wanted to give them away. And I was really excited. And people were posting questions, which is awesome. But we had so many juicy things to talk with our guest about. Best choice maybe is to climb out and back in, because we've tested that piece and I think we're okay. And if you go out and in again, you might be able to clear that up. But everybody else can hear me, so that's good, right? I'm going to double check. If you can hear me, let's try it that way. If you can hear me, let me know in the comments, because that's important. And anybody? We've got some viewers here. So we're just checking the voice right now because somebody mentioned they couldn't hear me. So if you can hear me, please mark that you can hear me. I'm checking with my assistant right now. And so I think we're good. Yes. Okay, great. Thank you, Leanne. Thanks for being here and thanks for letting me know you can hear me. So yeah, Shelby, if you're having problems with the volume, sometimes if you go out and come back, I know it's kind of a pain, but it should fix itself. All right. As I was saying, so I wanted to announce something special. Thanks, Manette. Manette says she can hear me too. I wanted to give away one of those journals, which was really great. So we ended up with just getting 2 people at the very end and 2 questions. And I couldn't decide how to decide between 2 people. Like I thought, should I flip a coin? Should I pull their names out of a hat? And then time went on and I was like, I can't figure it out. So I decided to do something, which was give it to both of them. So I actually have 3 journals. So the 2 people from last week's broadcast will both get a journal. And since I have an extra one, I thought what we would do with the 3rd one is give it away tonight. So if you're here and you're in the room, we're going to have a little fun. And here's how we're going to do it. So what I'd like you to do, if you're in the room and you would like to play along, we're going to pick a word that will be kind of our magic word, okay? And that's the word that will give us an entry into the giveaway. All right. Thanks, Roger. Thanks, Roger. Thanks, Minette. So the word to pick from, all right, you guys are going to choose. So this is the first piece. We're going to figure out what the winning word is. All right. So you can either pick insight or hashtag brilliant. Hashtag insight or hashtag brilliant. So before we're going to go through this process and our first guest comes on, I want to see which of those words do you think we should use for the giveaway tonight. All right. So if you're watching right now, you have the power. Okay. So hashtag insight or hashtag brilliant. You choose. And we'll go after that guest and we'll talk about how you can actually win one of those journals yourself. All right. So without any further ado, again, thank you everybody for coming. Remember, choose hashtag insight or hashtag brilliant before the end of our first guest. I got one insight. Perfect. Okay, great. And we're off. We're going to go ahead and get started with our first guest. And I'll remind you again about the hashtag insight or hashtag brilliant as we get done. But before we go on any further, I want to tell you a little bit about myself, right? Because some of you may not have been here before, and that's great. I love you for being here. If you're a newbie, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to those of you who have shared this broadcast, and those of you who are coming on as guests, because I think it's really exciting to be able to share my gift with you. And the more people that we can share this with, the better. In fact, that's how the entire process started. Several months ago, I was in Paris, France, and I went to a pilgrimage, if you will, to the Mary Magdalene Caves. And while I was there, I received a divine download from the Oracle that I would need to be here to support thousands and thousands of light bearers to coming to their place and to have their unique life purpose fulfilled and to show up and be visible. And I remember thinking, okay, great. I'm just one person. How am I supposed to do that? And that's how Oracle Live TV was born. It was born so that I could have a platform, not only to share the insights from the Oracle with as many people as possible, but that as many people around the world could reach me from hopefully the comfort of their living room at this time of night or their office. So if you're here and you would like to be a guest on our show, you can do that. How can you do that? You can go to oraclelivetv.com and click on the registration link to register to be a guest. And speaking of guests, I'm really excited for our very first guest tonight. Our first guest is Gregory Joseph. Now, I'm really excited because, as I mentioned, Gregory Joseph was on our retreat in Paris, and he's a master healer who I just had the wonderful honor of working with one-on-one, but also as a part of that group. What I know is that his heart is as big as the universe, and his compassion and passion for healing is phenomenal. So I'm really excited to bring him on next. When I do, I'll let him tell you a little bit more about himself. So everybody, if you can, just join me in welcoming Gregory Joseph to our show. And as you watch this, and you guys are like, you might be seeing this brilliant and hashtag insight. We'll talk a little bit more about it, but choose your word, insight or brilliant. Insight or brilliant. All right. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. Here he is, the man himself. Thank you so much, Gregory, for being here. Why don't you tell the crowd a little bit about yourself?
Well, Leah, it's really good to be here. Good to see you again. We had such a marvelous time in the caves there. It was just amazing. Yes, well, I have been doing healing work for the past 33 years. I primarily work with women because they're more intuitive, about 30 to 60 years old that come to me who are suffering and a lot of pain. And they've given up hope, and I bring them back. I do this by, I tell people, being in pain is just, a poor use of your time. And sometimes our conscious and unconscious mind aren't aligned with that. And what we really want in life is just to be able to care for our families, to have, go grocery shopping. People that can't do those things really miss them, So they carry, again, just being able to take care of their children, their families, to follow their careers, to do their hobbies, to have fluid movement. This is something that some people don't enjoy. So I work very diligently with them to bring them back and get them out of pain. Now, the interesting thing is then more people come. It's like their husbands and boyfriends after that. The men come afterwards because they just don't carry that intuition. But I found myself also working with executives who have a very, pretty good measure of success, but they're finding their lives are kind of miserable. So I get them to come back into their genius talent, get their motivated again, their passions flowing, and so they can be fulfilled in life. I loved what you said earlier, your life purpose fulfilled, and that's a big part of what happens.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Hey, Gregory, can I ask you a question? You're wearing a headset right now, right?
Yes.
Is it? We're getting a little, it's okay. We're just getting a little feedback, a crackling sound. And I just noticed that as a comment. So I'm wondering, is it plugged all the way in? Maybe it just needs to be connected a little tighter.
Well, let me try. I'll plug it in.
Or you may be like me. Okay, hands up. This is why I do not use a headset, by the way. I talk with my hands. And when I talk with my hands, it rubs against the microphone. I don't even know I'm doing it.
You want me to try it without this?
Yeah, you can. That'd be great.
Let's see.
Give it a whirl. See what happens.
Okay.
Oh, that's actually got a little bit of feedback. So.
Okay, let's try it again. Let's just see if we can get this better.
Plug that guy back in there. Maybe that'll help.
Okay. How's that?
That's much better.
Oh, okay. Sometimes, like you say, go back out.
Yeah. don't move. So I love that, part of what you were saying is the idea and the concept that women tend to be more intuitive, and that's what you've found. But I also really love that you're finding that you're kind of bringing more men into the picture as well. And for a lot of reasons, I think it's really important for us to really kind of hold space for all humans to really evolve and find their space and to really tap into their own intuition. So can you tell me a little bit really quickly, like when you find the men that are coming to you, what is it that they're coming for? What's the driver for them when they show up at your door?
Usually it's this unhappiness. They're working in a job they hate. They don't like it. And when you do something that you dislike, it creates stress. And we all know what that does to the body.
Right.
So they're living a life of what might be called disappointment. I was working with an executive, he's been with me 7 years ago. But when I met him, he was ready to quit his job and quit his life. I mean, he just felt disrespected, unheard, invisible. He's now a very sought after CEO, but when he came to me, it's like his life was in ruin. He just didn't know where to grasp, who to talk to. In the corporate world, it's all about saving face, looking good, being right, being in control, these sorts of things. What we call our senior commitments,
Right.
And we're so focused outwards, we lose our focus inward. And so bringing them back inside is a really important message for them. I've been able to work with men really well. I was in construction I built homes for 27 years. I can curse with the best of them. So,
wow, the healing carpenter. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, I can. So I can relate to them. And
right.
It's not about. I can sit down and have a talk with them and have a beer. I mean, I'm not some saint on top of a hill. I'm a human being, and that's something important for people to realize. This is about knowledge. It's when I got into this, it was because my wife was diagnosed with some cancer. And I thought, well, they gave her a couple of weeks to live. And I thought, geez, they also told me I couldn't have children. Well, I've got two beautiful children here, so I didn't believe them. But she was in tough shape. So that started my journey around the world. And the people that I used to laugh at, the swamis in India and the gurus in transcendental meditation, and I would laugh and have another beer. I sought those people out, and I discovered it was about knowledge. It wasn't woo-woo. It's about very, very precise knowledge that they knew that has been over the years stripped from us.
Such a good point, right? Yeah, ancient knowledge. I love that, and really realizing it's something that we all have connection with. And I'm really honored that you signed up to be a guest. I am so excited that I get to share back a little bit of my gift with you, because your gift to me made such a difference when I went to Paris. And so let me ask you, Gregory, what insight would you like? What is your question for the Oracle tonight?
Oh, sure. I have a really good one. People think, well, you're a healer and you should be able to heal yourself every second. But what happens is we have our own blocks too. As I said, we're human. So the question I have is, I have this knee-jerk response when some beautiful, abundant thing comes my way. I'll get past it, most of the time. But it's a response that says, I'm pushing it away. Do you see? When it first comes, and I'd like to just get rid of that and not have to go through that. It doesn't happen all the time, but I noticed it happens in like relationship as well, or friendships. And something beautiful is about to come towards me, and I just have this, an immediate, pull back, and
Right.
then I have to center myself and go back.
Wonderful. So the question that came like instantly when you were talking about the knee-jerk reaction is, when you recognize it, what are you using? What tool are you using when you say I can get past it? What happens next to help you get past it?
Oh, I've trained myself. It's a technique called centering, and I have to really go deep inside, and I have to ask, what's this about? And if I don't hear anything, I'll just blow by it.
Well,
okay. Do you see what I mean? It's like,
right.
if nothing comes up, I'm saying, okay, maybe it's this thing like fear of fear itself instead of some specific thing.
Right.
So I'll say, okay, if I can't hear anything, I've got to just calm myself and just go past it,
Perfect. So let me ask you this. How would it feel if you would just allow yourself to get past it first?
Yeah, that would be that's what I want.
Yeah.
Because it feels like this little anxious, and I literally I can feel myself just pull back,
Right. I mean, it's there. Okay. So this is just where she's taking us. So I like to follow her where she's leading us, because I know that it's probably make more sense to you than it does to me. But she's saying it's this dance you have where you're looking for permission. And so if you could give yourself permanent permission. And it's interesting because even as she's showing me the dance, it's as if it's like two people dancing, right? So it's not like it's a dance you're doing on your own. It's this sense of leading and following, like that kind of a dance. And that you're holding back from the place where you're waiting for someone to give you permission to lead.
Interesting. That I can feel something moving inside there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it may be even a deeper level of permission that you're asking for. And so there's a permission so the permission to lead is like the first piece. And I think that's why you've been so successful already. It like, okay, well, if it makes sense to move forward, I'm going to move forward. Mm-hmm. And there's probably, so tell me, are there times when that's the case, when even if you just asked yourself, you didn't even have to ask yourself that question, but it was just obvious, like this is just a place where it's safe. Like there's nothing there that's going to be a problem. So you just move forward, versus something where it's more from a desired place rather than a practical way. Like if there's a practical reason to move forward, it feels like that might be easier. But if it's not a practical reason and it's just a desire, are either of those harder for you to move past?
The practical one's easier.
Yeah.
Okay, that's for sure. It's the time that I don't rebound. Right. It's like I go analogical. I'm stunned, kind of a thing. It feels like a bee sting or something. It's like, oh, this hurt. Just wait a minute, and it does. It hurts. They say, wow, what's that? But the moment already possibly is past. The opportunity is gone. Mm-hmm. That's the one.
So there is something that happens that kind of rarely happens for me, honestly, which is that beloveds of people show up in my sphere, and I do sense that for you that there's a piece of this that's tied to your wife. And what I just got the image, which is really sweet and tender, was that spark. You know how when you walk on a carpet and somebody catches your breath, or you kind of does that kind of a spark. That's what I'm sensing. Is it's like you're igniting a spark that is connected to that piece, and the pull back and permission may be tied to that. How does that land for you?
I think that fits. It fits because while you were talking, I was thinking about our transition, and I thought one of the things that popped up was I said, "Oh, if somebody gets too close or I let them in, then they'll die." That just like, whoa, it's not logical at all.
No, but it's very visceral, and
you know what this just brought up? So if I let them in and we do the business, or it's a relationship or something like that, then I have to worry about the fact that they would perish because I got committed. So if I know in that instant, you know how we know in that instant if something's going to go a while, like a nice business agreement or a nice relationship or something long term. And then, so there's that resistance to say, oh, I don't want to do that because they'll get hurt. Does that make sense? That doesn't make sense, but it's like
well, it's more important that it makes sense to you, and that's really true. And as far as validating that piece of like the picture, absolutely. And there is this sense that the beauty of that is now, not before, but now, the spark has a new meaning to you. It's actually a sense of you can know that thing is worth committing to, right? Because it's giving you that energy. It's creating that reaction because it is the thing that you could commit to.
Yeah. And even as I'm thinking of it, it's not an energy that I feel real bad about. It almost feels like, well, there's like, it's a thin line between anxiety and excitement or something. Okay.
Yeah. It is. I just keep getting that kind of like a sparky feel. Like it's that take your breath away moment when like that. And as intuitives, I call it magic. I have no problem speaking in those terms, but I call it that magic of like that lightning bolt magic of insight when a thing just happened. And I think for me as an intuitive, and I'm assuming probably for you as well, a bit, that we can sense that. And it's really easy for us to do it for others, obviously. But for me as well, like I even said, sometimes I think there's a sense of wanting to be autonomous, like wanting to have our own space, and outside of that, and we can have that bit of a dance too. Like, oh, but I want to choose. Like we can feel like that. So I think this is just this piece of, if you are to look at it now from the new perspective and embrace it as a sign that is a commitment that is good for you, then it will lead you forward easier.
I like that. Embrace it as a sign. I can feel this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of a warning.
Right. Yeah. And like you said, it's that excitement, right? Versus anxiety. Yeah. That little piece of like, how are you looking at that signpost?
That feels good.
Right.
Yeah. I like that.
It feels like more like that. Like that's the dance piece. It's like, how do you want to look at it? And I think if you choose that new perspective, then you'll have a different experience.
I like that. It feels good already.
Good. Oh, does that feel complete to you? Does that feel like that answers that place where you are now?
It does, because it's that split second moment. That's what you addressed, and that's the moment I needed to shift. So yes, absolutely.
Wonderful. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing and for being so vulnerable and open. And I always say thank you extra for being the first on the show, because I know sometimes people are like in the background in the green room going, okay, what's going to happen when I get out there. I promise you. It's never the same. I will say that for everybody that comes on. However, I do my best to be honoring and speak from the heart of the Oracle, whatever message needs to be shared. So thank you again. And with that in mind, as we were talking about before, please know if you're watching us, if you're one of those viewers, hi, Naomi. Oh, that's great. There's lots of people, Javon. Just know, stay till the end of the show because of the Q&A. But even more than that, I like to let people know, you never know when the Oracle's actually going to be sending you a message, even though I'm talking to someone else on the screen like Gregory. So thank you again, Gregory. We're going to go ahead and get ready for our next guest. But before we do that, I know some people have been seeing it, have said brilliant, hashtag insight. I'm checking with my assistant now, have her count up how many of which. So in a moment, what we're going to do, I'm going to tell you what we're do with that. How's that? So I'm going to put it back up here. I'm going to take a drink of water so I can actually do this without. There we go. Take care of yourself, people. Always take care of yourself. All right. So we are asking whether you want to use insight or brilliant as our chosen word for tonight's giveaway. So whether you picked brilliant, hashtag brilliant, or hashtag insight, we're first going to calculate. So right now, it looks like I'm going to give you guys one more minute. And Jen's probably back there furiously calculating. And I'll tell you what we'll do after that. So once we figure out what the word is, right? Once we figure out what the word of tonight is, we are going to take that word. And if you do hear something in one of the messages, it looks like insight. We have a winner. Insight is the winner. So great. Thank you, Jen. Everybody say thank you, Jen. You can't see her, but she's here doing all kinds of magic in the background. So Jen has calculated and pulled it up, and it is insight. So the word for today, in fact, I'm going to change this. Let's see if I can do that. Let me see. Let me see. I may not be able to do it here. Let's see. We're going to do something. I don't know if that's going to work. All right, it's not going to work. Oh, I know how to do it. Hold on. I want to make sure everybody gets the right word. So the word of the night is hashtag insight. And why do we need a word? Well, here's what we're going to do. So the word tonight is insight, okay? Everybody, if you want to play and be in the giveaway for the really cool journal that we're giving away, then you have to put hashtag insight and what that insight is. So if something I said to Gregory already or something I've said in general is like, oh, that's inspiring or it's interesting, hashtag insight, and then whatever that inspiration or thought was that you want to share or acknowledge, okay? And also in that vein, I want to remind you guys, if you want to do a question, you can actually put a question in now. You don't have to wait till the end of the show to post your question because our lovely assistant Jen is also keeping track of that. I told you, she's magic. Okay, so if you have a question, put it in Q&A and then your question. If you want to be in the giveaway, put insight and then some sort of insight you've got. Maybe it's Gregory's really cute and oh my gosh, isn't somebody lucky to go dancing with him someday? And or maybe our next guest is so amazing that you find all kinds of brilliant insight from what she's sharing in a moment. So whatever it is, just put hashtag insight and then the insight you find, and we'll tally that up at the end of the show and we'll pick a winner for that giveaway. All right. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and move on to our lovely next guest who is in the green room. You know, they're all partying like rock stars over there. So I might have to, give her a shake. Give her a shake and make sure she comes on up here. But Minette Riordan is our next guest. She's an intuitive and visionary creative. Actually, we met, I realized, in California at a business conference. And I remember feeling like I was instantly connected to her energy. Just like her energy is like, I don't even know. It's like a rainbow. It's like so many beautiful colors, which makes perfect sense. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, Minette, excuse me. I want to go ahead and give you a chance to tell us a little bit. Let me hide that. There we go. About you and what you're up to in the world today. Oh, hey, we don't hear you. And I can't hear you. I can see you. Check there is a little volume button maybe under your image. Oh, Minette is frozen. All right. Don't anybody panic. We're going to hold on. We're going to let Minette, I'm going to take her out of the room, bring her back in the room. It usually works, I promise you. Hey, Shelby, she's back. Roger, thank you for being here. And let's see if we can show Minette. Nope. Maybe. You want to give us one more try? What if you unplug your microphone altogether? Trust is a two-way street. Great, Roger. I love it. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. So this is what I'm just going to share that. So Roger says, hashtag insight, trust is a two-way street. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that that's part of that dance, right? You have to be part of that trust dance for sure. Thank you so much. Awesome. Thanks for playing. All right, let's see if Minette's got her volume working again. Minette, you want to try again? All right. See, this is why I prove to you the show is live. Any question that the show is live is now being completely dispelled. Oh, it looks like we're having a little bit of difficulty with Minette for right now. So we're going to try this. Minette, I appreciate you being here. I'm going to try and go ahead and move on to our next guest, and then we'll come back. So if you can go ahead and give yourself maybe a moment to find, oh, there she is. Wait, can you talk now, Minette? Nope. I'm so sorry. All right. I will. Oh, here's what we're going to do. I'm putting you back into the green room. And maybe you and Jen can text on the chat and try and figure out some buttons with some tech and see if you can figure that out. And then we'll bring our next guest on. Okay, so we'll do that in a moment. But before I do that, I forgot. Thank you. Gregory just reminded me. One of the greatest things, okay, I think it's great, about doing this program is really for me, hey, Cindy, welcome. Thanks for being here, is really bringing people to people. Like, I love connecting people and I love honoring and supporting and sharing their genius with other people. So as a special guest, one of the things I like to do is to allow them to tell us like what is going on with them and what kind of cool projects they're running. So Gregory is actually doing a little something that we forgot to talk about. So I'm going to pull him back up while we're working with Minette. And I'm going to put the link to it in the chat log. And why don't you tell us a little bit about this program that I'm actually posting right now? There you go.
Thank you, Leah. Well,
you're so welcome.
April 13th, I'm putting on a webinar with G.W. Harden. He is a 5 books best-selling author, and we are going to deliver a webinar called Step Up to Your Genius Self. So I love your word genius all the time. And we are going to have empirical proof of how our minds actually create. We are the creators. This is not just little playing around. We're really going to show you some real proof in the power of collective consciousness and how you can affect major events in the world. This is going to be Saturday, April 13th from 1 to 3 Mountain Standard Time and 3 to 5 Eastern Standard Time.
Wonderful.
And I sent the link if you can share that with them.
The link is inside the chat log right there. And we also will make sure if you're watching this again in a watch party, stop watching in the watch party and come on over. We're having so much fun in the room. So yeah, it's in the chat log and it will be on the Facebook post afterwards for the replay. So make sure that we'll check that out. Thank you so much. And all right, I see Minette is back in action. So let's give her a chance and see if she can pop back in here. Thanks so much, Gregory.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. And I want to give a special shout out to Jennifer Gareppi, who's in the green room, and I've like kept her on and off. Like I can see her going like, okay, I'm ready. I'm not ready. All right. Let's see how this goes. All right, Minette, give it a try.
Can you hear me?
We can hear her. All right. Yay. The universe is always working on our side. I think we just had to go back and give Greg his due and have him give that link. So it's all good. All right. So tell us a little bit about you, Minette, and then your question for the Oracle.
Yeah, I'm going to try my headset so you don't hear my fan. You can still hear me?
I can.
Yay.
Very
Oh, good. So thanks for having me on this show. I'm Dr. Minette Riordan, and I am a creative. I work with creatives, and I work with professional women who are at a crossroads in their life. And like they can see, it's like when you have a puzzle and you can see the beautiful picture on the box, but you open the box and all you see inside are all the pieces, and you don't know how to put them all together. So I help them connect to their innate creative genius so that they can truly design the life that they're meant to be living.
I love it. That I just, first of all, I love that the word genius keeps popping up. So that's like, maybe that's our secret subcode letter for tonight. But I also obviously cannot ignore the fact that you are surrounded by gorgeous colors. And it's funny because earlier I was like, I see her in a bunch of rainbows, and I look behind you and I'm like, oh, there we go. That probably
you made me cry when you said that. So that was so beautiful.
It's so true. It's
totally
so true.
touched me. And this is all my art.
Oh my gosh. I love the water lily. It's gorgeous. It just draws me right in there. So tell me, what is your question for the Oracle tonight, Minette?
Yeah, so it was so fascinating listening to Gregory and like feeling the common threads between what we all do. And I'm trying to figure out what my question is and allow that to just drop in. But I feel like I'm in this big place of transition in my life and my business. I'm going in a whole new direction in my business. And I'm feeling a little unmoored at the moment about some of the changes I'm making. And insight was such a great word for me. So I'm looking for just some insight and awareness about what you're sensing, I think.
Great. Well, the first thing as you were speaking, I instantly got something. Well, you guys are really pulling on all these extra kind of now what's the word I'm looking for? Like ancillary skills that I have, which is kind of funny because they're not the way that this works for me, but I'm having like actual physical reaction to what you're saying, which is I'm having a I don't want to call it a pain in my chest, but in my sternum, I'm feeling a lot of pressure. And usually when I get that sense, there is almost like a sadness, a grief tied to that. That's usually what I get for that insight, is like the feeling of that really kind of ties to grief and sadness. And I want to ask, is this departure like really like left turn different? Do you have to leave a lot? Do you have to leave something that you like about what you're doing to go do this other thing?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So definitely like at that crossroads myself where there's some grieving about things that haven't worked out so well in the last couple of years, and excitement, pressure to get something going, like that pressure. There's pressure to get something going in the moment.
Yeah.
And so I'm moving from working with entrepreneurs to working more with women in corporate leadership. Okay. And so that is like a totally new direction for me. I am the consummate creative. I've never actually worked in corporate. Yay me. So it feels, it's like it's definitely a little bit of a left turn, and it feels in some ways grounded and in some ways, so it feels like there's lots of letting go happening. Yeah. And there's always grieving when letting go of what I've been doing, which means letting go of clients, letting go of stories I've been telling myself.
Yeah, the insight I got about the shift, it literally is like showing me like a T, right? Like, yeah, you're going that way now. Yeah. And so with that, the piece of it that keeps coming up is there is either a relationship, like a business relationship, or a partnership, or like a joint venture kind of a piece of this that maybe has brought you to where you are, but it's like it's ran its course, and or that like you won't be connected with that person or working with that person, or
yeah. So I've been working with my husband for the last 3 years, and which has been awesome and amazing. And we're at a point where he's decided to go back to work full time.
Okay.
And so there's a huge transition happening. So there's grief around that as well.
Yeah. And so the interesting thing to note is that these paths are both really solid and straight. Like so one of the things that I see when I look at my clients and a lot of work I do with them is on what I call my setup. I always say I walk onto my holodeck. Like, things are happening now or right here in front of me, which explains that this is so right now for you. And what's beautiful is I always get what I like to refer to as like the cellular maps, where you can see all those lines kind of going across the state of their future trajectory. And what I see for this line for you is gold light, straight on to. So I think that if you can acknowledge, but also check in with him on his grief is the message I get. So like, not manage it, because there's nothing to manage, but to just acknowledge it and to really kind of give it its due, and then trust that the path for both of you is very clear after that. Like, so this is just a moment in that, right? We're back to dancing. I see the swirl of energy here. Like, there's we're still dancing around this piece, but it's not like it's not a good bad. It's just what is it is. And there's a piece, check in with him to hear his piece of that. And then you guys work, which I trust that you'll have your way to work that. And just the no. It's like, she's like, just no. These are both very solid paths for you both.
His and mine. Yeah. And we have talked about the grief. So that's interesting that there's more.
There's like this little, like a little undercurrent. I think it's just like layers of an onion. Like, there's like a piece of it as it's kind of unwinding. There'll be stuff that comes through there. And it's like, you guys keep talking about it. And she's just like, the way you do, like, this isn't a big, like, you got that. But
we do. We walk and talk.
Yeah, exactly. It needs to be done all the way to the bottom. And then, you guys are good.
Cool.
Yeah. Does that feel complete to you?
Yeah, it feels really good. And it's just very affirming, right? It's the acknowledging the grief and the moment, and it's like my own intuitive knowing this is the right path, even though it feels like a big left turn, right? It feels like the right thing. And there's that, moment, Gregory was talking about, I loved what he said about having that moment of where, like, it's like, you can see that light, but you're kind of, and I don't want to be like this. I don't like Gregory. It's like, I want to be following that yellow brick road.
Yes. Right? Yeah. Oh my gosh. She's all excited about that. Yeah. So follow the yellow brick road. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for being here. I appreciate you.
Thanks.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to just peek through here, see if some insights. If anybody has an insight, I want to remind you guys, if you have an insight or something exciting about what we just talked about, you can mark #insight and whatever that comment is. And then we will pull somebody's name at the end of this for a giveaway. And also, if you have any questions that you want to share at the end of the call, we'll do our best here. We did have some technical difficulties, so please stay on. We might run a few minutes later than normal, but I do want to get some of those questions in. So know that I will do my best to do that before we get on to our next guest, who has been so amazingly patient in waiting for us to get to her. And I want to share a little bit about this next guest. Some of you may or may not know, but my husband is actually a dog trainer. So one of the great things about our next guest is Jennifer Greppy is an energy healer and dog therapist. And so what I really appreciate about her is her love of passionate communication with our furry friends. And that's why it's so close to my heart, is because that's the work that my husband does as well, and in really helping these creatures live in our society with us in harmony and joy, and so that we can have that experience with our furry friends. So Jennifer, welcome so much. Thank you again for all your patience as we kind of moved through those technical issues. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit more about where you are right now, what you're up to, and then yeah, we'll figure out what your question is for tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, thank you for having me. Like Gregory, I'm a healer. I primarily, as you said, work with animals, and I really enjoy working with animals that have fear and anxiety issues. And I'm also interested specifically in separation anxiety. And I know that I'm a really good healer, a powerful healer. But I'm still, unlike Gregory, I haven't been a healer for as many years as he has, and so I'm still having difficulty getting traction, getting myself in front of the right people, finding the right clients, finding people that believe in what energy healing and are willing to invest. And so what keeps swirling up for me is, I guess the big overarching question is, am I on the right path? Should I be working with people instead? Or should I add to my skills? And like your husband, should I become a dog trainer? So I have this avenue where people have something more concrete to latch onto when I'm speaking with them. Or should I just, I don't know. I guess that's my overarching question. I'm feeling kind of a lot of swirling and a lot of okay, if this is the right path for me, then why isn't it working at the moment?
I would say that's probably your real question, right? Okay, because it's interesting when you were talking. So one of the things that happens for me is I get what I call like flashes of light, which is kind of like when you're talking.
Yeah.
And I got like nothing except for the last question, and it really interesting. Definitely nothing over the dog training. It was like, nope. There is this piece though in what you're saying, which seems to be the question behind the question, the last thing you said. And so I'll ask you a question I've asked many clients before.
Yeah.
If you couldn't do this anymore for whatever reason, just say it's not an option anymore, what would you do?
I don't know. I don't think I really have an idea of what I would do. I mean, if I had a corporate life before, I could certainly go back to corporate. I didn't hate it. But if you're asking, like, do I have another, like, oh my gosh, passion? I don't know.
Tell me more about what you did in corporate.
Yeah. So what I did in corporate was, for about the last 20 years, I did a lot of coaching. I worked in employee relations and I worked in recruitment. So I had a lot of interface with people and helping them through situations.
Okay, so this is interesting. So I love how she draws us to this like map. I'm like, why are we asking about that? Oh, so like the point of, okay, so this is going to sound weird because I just said the other thing, but here's what I got.
Okay.
What if you trained dog trainers? So I think that the idea of those people being your people, so not working with the clients, but working with the dog trainers to teach them from a coaching perspective how to use the tools you have. How does that land?
I don't know if that feels quite right. And my main modality, if you will, is healing touch for animals. And when you cannot teach other people healing touch for animals, it's a closed system. They won't allow you to teach it unless you're an official teacher and you're teaching one of their classes.
Okay. And that's not something that interests you?
They don't employ their teachers full time, so it would be like such a part-time kind of thing.
Okay, got it. So when you say it's close to them, like you would have to not just be a teacher, you'd have to work for them as a teacher, like within their own structure.
Yes, you wouldn't. Yeah, you wouldn't be able. They have certain levels of training, and you'd have to follow their structure and bring in students through them.
Got
You
it.
can't hang out your own shingle.
Right. I mean, so you can't be like a contractor for them. You would be you'd be an employee, basically. It's sort of.
Well, you would be a contractor, but you would be teaching exactly their curriculum to any student that wanted to come and to learn.
Okay. And so that's not an interest of yours. So when we say, if we take this away and we take that off, there's not another version of this, whether that's working with animals in a different way or doing something completely different, that comes to light for you.
Well, I mentioned training because it never interested me before, but it kind of piques my interest lately. But no, I don't think I have any other great thing that I would do for a living.
Yeah. So the lit up piece of this is do for a living, which I get. Like everybody has to make ends meet.
Right.
How often are you working with people right now?
Pretty rarely.
Okay. And when you work with, people and their pets, obviously, when you work with people and their pets, there's just this thing where I'm getting that we haven't reached the spark for you of what it is about this that will draw you out so that you're drawing people in. Like this, and I don't know if it's a disconnect between you and the dogs, which it doesn't seem like. It's almost like the people. Like if you could, I guess the question is, if you could just hang out and people could just drop off all their dogs and you just get to hang out with the dogs all day, would that be how does that feel? Like instead of having to have individual one-on-ones with people and their dogs, like you and the dogs, is that more energetically motivating than you with one-on-one clients having to teach them or work with them and their pet?
I mean, it's always fun to be with animals. I love dogs. I love cats. It would certainly be nice to, have acreage and have lots of dogs and cats, that are rescued.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah. I almost I got the word sanctuary. Right? So there's a space that people bring their dogs to. Now maybe they take them back, so that they stay there. But it feels like it's this sense for you of the more you can get around animals and be with them and have that be the primary focus, you just in these few minutes got a lot more animated. There's a big smile on your face. There's a lot more energy around that. So I would say that find a way to consider what it would be like. Maybe just even entertaining the idea. If you created that sanctuary, what would you really want it to look like? And as you flesh that out, you may find ways to move towards that gives you the income producing piece of the puzzle. But it's almost like you kind of have to turn that around and focus on what is it that's going to make you energized and feel like when you show up and talk about it, people lean in. And that's what I'm getting.
Okay.
Yeah. And really saw a shift for you when you thought like even just I could see you thinking about what that would be like to just kind of go. I just saw you going out on this big plot of land. All the dogs come running up, and you get to do your work with them and creating a real space for that work to really land for them. Yeah.
Okay. So you don't necessarily feel like I'm on the wrong track per se.
I don't think you're on the wrong track as far as like working with animals. I think it's the way that you're setting it up that is kind of, it's like you're off one edge of the track. Like your train is like a little hobbled off to the side of the track. And I think just veering and focusing back to the focus of the animals and how you can do more with that, whatever that setup looks like. And that was just one thing that came because she just said the word sanctuary very clearly.
Okay. So it doesn't have to be a sanctuary, but maybe a similar idea of doing something with a group.
Yeah, and I think it's the idea. The concept here is that you are creating a sanctuary, like a space that's sanctuary. Not maybe like an actual sanctuary, but that's the word that she said. And I saw the vision of you with all of the, like many dogs around you, like 20 dogs, like a lot of dogs. Yeah.
Right. So maybe even just talking to clients, potential clients, in terms of my abilities to help create an emotional sanctuary for their dogs.
Right.
Does that ring a bell? Resonate?
I think that's it. I think that's part of it, but I think it's also for you to like figure out a way to create a space where you have control a bit over how it's set up, and then they come and they're getting that from you in that way. So, and I don't know that you necessarily call it a sanctuary. I mean, it could be like a play day or whatever you call it, fun. But that the concept behind it is a sanctuary for them to be cared for in that higher way.
Okay, I will ponder that. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you so much, and thank you again for your patience.
Yeah, no, of course.
I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate all of our guests. Thank you for everybody, for Gregory Joseph, for Genevieve Greppi, and for Minette Rorden, who had the most difficulty trying to be here, but I appreciate her sticking with us. So it looks like we've got a lot of words here, lots of insights. I'm going to go ahead and go through these really quickly. Ooh, this looks like a good one. Jorna says, insight, seeing a theme of anxiety and excitement showing up in the manifestation and expansion process. Ooh, yeah, definitely. And how to seek the gift in both of these as I'm about to launch visibly in the world. I love it. See, I love when the oracle and all of the magic pieces are falling in place in this show and people get to hear and see things and get that insight that's for them out of what's being said. So Shelby, yay, Shelby. I'm so glad you could finally hear us, Shelby. She said, insight, faith versus fear. I used to have a little wooden token that I carried in my pocket that I got many years ago when I first started in transformational business in 1994. And it was a wooden token that said faith or fear. And we were encouraged when I went to a convention one time to carry it around in our pocket. And it was that reminder, that tactile reminder, what are we choosing in each moment? So yeah, great insight. Thank you so much for sharing. Nancy says, insight, there's always grieving when letting go. Yes, I know. Minette was saying that, right? There is always grieving when letting go, and it's okay. I was saying, I think it's really important to go, we don't call it good or bad. It just is. And when we can accept it and really honor it, then we can move through it and we can learn from it. It's like there's that marrow. It creates like a marrow of experience that I think it's the juiciness of life, really. All right, I'm going to check with Jen, who's back there. Jen, I don't know if we have any questions. I've been so busy with all these beautiful people. So if we have any questions, we're going to get to those, but we have so. Oops. Welcome to the new. All right. Bixby's all excited about us. All right. Looks like we've got some great insights. So we are going to, let's see, I'm going to pick, what am I going to do? I got some insights. I got insights. Let's see. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to scroll without looking and look for the closest insight because I see a bunch of them and I'll go back. So here's the insight we're going to go with. The closest insight. Trust and embrace your new pathway. All right, Roger, if you're here, it's you. Congratulations. And if not, don't worry, we'll get in touch with you. So Roger Quevlin says, insight, trust and embrace your new pathway. I think that is a really good place to finish for the night. I can't believe it. It is 6:57, folks. We did it. I am so proud of all of you for sticking with us. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, Roger, if you're in the room, shout out, say hello. I'm here. I'm here. And Jen will get a connection to you and make sure she gets the information to mail you a copy. Oh, let me grab it really quickly because you're like, what? Here we go. All right. Just to prove there is actually something that's coming. There you go. Okay. It is this really great journal. It's Live Fully, a guided journal of daily intentions. All right. And we will get that copy to you. So thank you all so much. A shout out again to all of my beautiful guests for being here, for being vulnerable. I'm going to pull them up back on stage just so you guys can all see their beautiful faces. Here they come. And as I finish that and they all get loaded in here in the room, I just want to share that this is a truly amazing thing for me to do and give to you. So if you want to be one of these beautiful guests yourselves, please go to oraclelivetv.com, and I'm putting that up here so you can find it. Oracle Live. I should have had this typed in already. Don't worry. It's a live show. There we go. oraclelivetv.com. Register to be a guest. As you can see, it's lots of fun. Give me 2 thumbs up, guys, if it was fun. All right. Thank you so much for being here. I really want to let each of you know as well. Keep us posted. Come back and make sure you tell us if this insight has developed, because I've already seen some people that have been on the show have had some really cool things happen. And I'm letting the last week's guest be the one to tell you guys next week about what happened to her after that call. It was amazing. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate you. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.